Hey everyone, today we are going to see about Wordsworth's theory of poetry and lyrical ballads. So, what is meant by lyrical ballads? So, lyrical ballads are the collection of poems which was written by Samuel Taylor Coleridge and Wordsworth. So it was first published in the year 1790, and after that, several editions of the poem were published in the year 1800, 1802, and 1805. So, the publication of lyrical ballads led to the new chapter in the history of English poetry. So, though they were prevalent forms of poetry, so it was a new birth for poetry. So this lyrical ballads gave a new birth in the poetry field, and then so this period marks the full development of Romanticism and Naturalism. So now we should know the definition of Romanticism and Naturalism. So Romanticism has nothing to do with real life. Okay, so it is just coloring of poems with creative thoughts and emotions. But naturalism and like romanticism, naturalism is similar to romanticism, but naturalism focuses only on nature. So the theme will be based on nature. So then, Coleridge represented romanticism in his work The Ancient Mariner, and Wordsworth represented naturalism in his works Goody Blake, The Thorn, and The Idiot Boy. So there were certain aims that were set by Wordsworth in his preface to the second edition. So as I told you, there were several editions of the lyrical ballads, and in the second edition, in the preface of the second edition, he has mentioned his aims. Okay, so the principal aim is that um, to choose incidents and situations from common life. uh, so Wordsworth always focused on the common life. So he didn't focus on the administrative side of the society, but he focuses the administrative or the aristocratic side of society, but he focused on the common man, and he tried to choose incidents and situations from the common man, and he tried to describe the incidents with the help of the language that is commonly used by men. I mean the language which is used by common men. So uh, in those days, the common men were not able to understand the works of the writers. So Wordsworth tried to write in the language used by common men, so that even the common men uh, can assess his works. So they can read his works. That's what. And the next thing about Wordsworth's writing is that about the theory of poetry is that coloring of imagination. So he chose usual subjects, he colored the usual subjects with imagination to present the usual things to the mind in an unusual aspect. Okay, so this is the third point, and the fourth point, he always chose humble and rustic life. So rustic means the village life. So he always chose the village side rather than the city life. He chose the village side, and he also chose a humble life also. Then his language was plainer and emphatic, and as I said, he wanted to reach the common man, so he tried to speak in a plainer and emphatic language. Then in search of themes, Wordsworth directly goes to humble rustic life. So he has no other choice. Though he had many choice, he deliberately chose humble and rustic life. Then he uses appropriate language of actual life. Actually, as I said, he usually focused on the life of the common man. So uh, his works were like it depicted the actual life of the common man with the appropriate use of language. Okay, and he got himself by from being an extreme realist. Okay, so he used his imagination in poetical transformation of things. So he was not a realist. He used his imagination to transform the usual things into in a into something like into a poet in a poetic manner. Okay, and the next point is that he aimed at the simplification of life. uh, Wordsworth again here, he always aimed at the simplified life. So then he was in harmony with the revolutionary spirit. So in the romantic age, okay, when the world was busy in all the revolution, and when the world was in the starting stages of the industrial revolution, um, Wordsworth, he spent time uh, he spent time to recollect his memories, and he tried to uh, get connected with the nature. So that's why he was in harmony. He was in harmony with the revolutionary spirit. So though the revolution brought in many trauma for the people, he was in harmony only because of uh, these reasons. Then characteristics of Wordsworth's poetry. So Wordsworth, as we know, Alexander Pope, he is the greatest poet of city city life and artificial life. And here Wordsworth stands in contrary to him. Wordsworth is the greatest poet of country and natural life. And his love for nature is boundless. His love for nature is limitless. Only actually his love for nature uh, led him, actually it motivated him to gain more knowledge about nature, and that's why his knowledge of nature was equal to his love. And then um, he always wrote with his eyes steadily fixed upon his object. Actually, they say that even a minute thing cannot escape his notice. So he wrote with his eyes fixed steadily and with the utmost concentration. Okay, and he is known as the keenest eyed of all modern poets. That's what a small thing, even a minute thing, cannot escape his attention. Then he was not just a poet of nature; he was also the poet of man. So his moralistic teachings were apparent in in many of his works. Okay, uh, then there were certain drawbacks with his writings. So he had no humor, and he lacked dramatic power. So though there were certain if we take his work, the excursion, it was a lengthier work, and it was of a prosaic kind, but still the voluminous output he gave contracted with the drawbacks. So he remains the greatest poet. Okay, He is still remembered as the greatest romantic poet, and he is one of the lake poets. Um, so this is all about Wordsworth's theory of poetry, lyrical ballads, and characteristics of Wordsworth's poetry. Thank you.